Hello, everyone, and welcome. Wow, that was not great. Welcome to episode number 84 of the SWW Show. It's me, AJ. I got Mike along with me. And yes, we do include
Hello.
our screw ups.
Yes, we do. This is This is a highly polished, edited production.
Yep. As neither of us are Polish.
That is not true. I am half Polish.
Well, I was thinking like full on, not.
Oh, that's right.
Not your half.
Yes. We are here. We're here to celebrate the month that was, discuss the month that will be. We'll see what goes from there. So to get us started, I guess, when we start with our usual of some games that we have played. To get us started with the quick one, I'm continuing my wrath down Borderlands 4. I have now on I think I'm assuming now it's the final zone. That game is way longer and bigger than I thought it was, based on some stuff that happened. So we'll see how much longer it takes. But I think it's turned into a really great game. There are definitely those problems we I think kind of discussed online, but it's objectively that return to form that I still think was last month. But jumping in, we have the important game to talk about. This is the month of the return to form of the great, finally great again, Battlefield series in Battlefield 6. We've been streaming it. We've both played it. You've played a ton of it.
Yeah.
What are your top line thoughts on this game?
The interesting thing is, right, like, there's a lot of people online and they seem to be either Call of Duty kiddies or people that didn't play 3 specifically that are complaining about this game and some of its systems and movement and things like that. But if you're an old fart like Mike and I and played Battlefield, Bad Company 2, 3, 4. If you're weird like me and played Hardline, the more grounded Battlefield games before kind of the, I guess, reboot with 1. Reboot's weird to say, but
But it was, yeah.
The difference between Hardline, which is the game before it, and 1 is so great, and not just a mechanic system, like a mechanic style, but also a graphic style. So I guess it's fair to call it a reboot. And then you've got 1 and 5. I would consider 6 to be in that kind of arc, if you will, of 1 and 5. And 2042 is just, they tried too hard to be Call of Duty while also being Battlefield. So that game quickly developed into meta builds and people just clip farming on Battlefield maps, but 6 returns it back to that grounded soldier. You're not, you don't have any crazy special abilities. You're not flying around. You're not, you're not launching off ultimates or things like that. I mean, hell, there's not even kill streaks in this game.
Yeah, no, this is a very stripped back.
This is old school Battlefield. This is back to 3 and 4.
Yeah, we have modern progression systems, but that's kind of. I agree with you. The only thing I'm noticing too that because you don't see vehicles, it's the Battlefield way of there's a vehicle on the map, go get it. This is very much. I am very curious, kind of, because it definitely I think plays kind of Battlefield can, but you could definitely see the Call of Duty kind of influence.
Yeah.
Do you feel that it's taking anything away, or do you think this at least plays well? Because I think it's a little faster and kind of does a little more Call of Duty things in those ways. I assume we agree on.
I mean, it's definitely sped up, but I think part of that too is there's only real one big wide open map. And that's Operation Firestorm. All the other maps are cities, or it's a valley, like a mountain pass. So I think part of the speed feel is down to shorter sight lines. Right? It's not like Gomon Railway in BF4 where it's just a wide open prairie. And you can see from one end to the other of the map. And it's massive. There's not a great way for it to break up the sight lines. Whereas this, you're like outside of Firestorm and the Turkmenistan, Tajikistan Mountain Pass map, you're in cities. So, there's not even that, oh, you're going into a city. It's like, no, you're in Brooklyn, you're in Egypt, you're in Gibraltar, you're in trying to think. There's one that's a little more open, but it's not Firestorm level open. And I'm blanking on the name of it. And now, they're bringing out the California maps. And those appear to be like, oh, the first one that they're releasing, you're in the oil fields, but then like there's a neighborhood or something like that. So that'll probably feel a little more old school Battlefield. And then the second map that they're releasing in season 1 is the golf course. Or, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's got a golf course on it. And I have a feeling that's probably going to be the biggest feeling map once you open it up. So,
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to kind of see. I am going to be curious. Cause obviously, I think the stories, but like as we know, like the Battle Royale is coming very, very soon. From recording this, so it should be out which I'm hearing this. I am curious, kind of, does this keep numbers going? How numbers are doing? Like, there's going to be a lot of kind of long-term stuff. I'm going to be curious, kind of, how this actually does, because
I mean, but
you
have to remember, right? Like, there's no challenge until Black Ops 7, which is middle of November. So Battlefield's had 2 weeks as we're recording this. It's basically a month that they would have been out and built up and potentially converted some of those people that would go to Call of Duty. And if it weren't as good as it is, I think you'd see a lot of people being like, oh, well, I'll just wait till Call of Duty because Battlefield sucked. Right, you're still seeing a ton of people playing Battlefield. And to be brutally honest, the way that we're going to be able to measure Battlefield success is how many of the traditional Call of Duty influencers switch over to Battlefield. Because
that is going to be interesting.
We live in this modern world where influencers kind of drive the success of something. And, some of the big ones like Tim the Tat Man, Stone Mountain, guys that definitely were playing Battlefield I mean, hell, Stone Mountain 64 is famous because of Battlefield. And then really had nothing going for him because 2042 sucked. And now we're looking at some of the OG Call of Duty guys getting back to prevalence, I guess, with Battlefield. So that's probably the interesting thing to kind of keep track of in terms of if we're going to look at pure statistics for success. But yeah, I mean, gunplay's great. It looks awesome. It runs amazing. You know, it's got everything you'd want. And I'm able to run around as an engineer and just launch RPGs into the back of Bradleys and blow them up in 2 shots.
There is some fun moments like that. I think we've both had some good or I like the if you get a good point, you just kind of chill in the corner and you just get a stampede of stuff going, because the time to kill can be so the thing with this game is time to kill generally is it's you're alive longer because the map's so big and stuff, but when you're in a firefight they go fast in this game. It's not like hey
yeah, I mean the weapons, all of the weapons have kind of specific ranges that they're going to be good at. You know, you're not going to want to chow a 100-meter, 150-meter shot with an SMG. Right? You may be able to get it if the person's an idiot not paying attention. But, you know, your SMGs are going to be good 20 meters and in because you can just lay into them. Shotguns, since they nerfed them basically week 1, have been effective only inside. Like as soon as you take them outside, the range just gets too far for them. And then, you know, you got your carbines that are kind of your in between, right, between SMGs and assault rifles. Which, by the way, the fact that they have the M4 at 950 fire rate, which is faster than anything I've seen as a carbine, is insane. And since they've updated the weapon progression up to level 20, they've effectively halved it. The experience that you need to level your weapon up. You don't need to slog that much to turn that thing into just a laser gun. And admittedly, I think that's going to drive a lot of people that are more familiar with Call of Duty to some of those quote-unquote meta builds around things like the M4A1. Meanwhile, you know, you got your Battlefield chads that are out there running these crazy, suppressed, you know, AK or gals that just rip if you know what you're doing. Yeah. Also, it's funny. I think it's the second carbine that you unlock is the current US service weapon. And that thing sucks.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Damage isn't great. Fire rate's not great. Range isn't great. You lose a ton of firefights unless you know exactly what you're doing. So, and that's not a good showing for the US military right now.
No.
But as we're recording this, the seasonal 1 update is about to come out, and that's changing a lot of the weapon unlock systems. So they have class specific weapon unlocks that you need to do. And they are reducing or basically eliminating a lot of the challenge to unlock some of the stuff. Because we were talking about it one of the times that we streamed, like to unlock the final sniper rifle, you basically have to become a selfish, just sniper looking to only play on Operation Firestorm. And that's just not a fun way to play because you're just going to keep losing.
Yeah, that's not that just sounds annoying at some point.
And like the engineer expert, I think it is, like the second challenge is currently, as we're recording this, to repair 6,000 vehicle damage in one match.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody on Twitter say even with a bot private lobby, it took him 45 minutes. And it's like, that's not, you're never going to complete that legitimately. You know, I'm glad shortly after when they announced, hey, we're going to cut down on the bot farm servers. I'm really glad that they're like, hey, we are significantly reducing these challenges because, you know, that's why people were going to bot farms, was to get these challenges done. So
okay, so Battlefield 6 apparently sold very well. We'll keep an eye out. Yeah. And as we'll get to in a minute, thank you to our future Saudi overlords for this game.
Well, I mean,
jumping.
The buyout happened, like 4 days before the game came out, so.
I think that timing was very much on purpose. My guess is a valuation of EA was based upon some capacity pre-orders that they probably got access to.
Yeah.
Like, they had to have, like, Battlefield had to be in projections or some, like, they had to do some metric, I bet, in those valuation calculations.
So that actually, we'll get to it later, but that kind of raises a very interesting point of if you were a company potentially looking to see through nefarious tactics what one of your competitors thinks of their upcoming game, you could say, oh, here's our bid to buy you out and get some of those numbers. But
I bet you at that point though, you're like that you're probably in so deep or NDA. Like there probably is stuff there where like if you chew that in manipulous ways that like it will come out and I think hurt your company.
Yeah, potentially.
Like that has to be a violation of some laws. But maybe not. And we're gonna see a lot more. But yeah, jumping before we get to those points though, we got a few more things to take care of. First, and what we've seen. I seen a movie or two. You've seen one or two. First, I want to shout out. I saw a movie that I never. We got to talk about before stream. I saw Copland the other week. It was a very interesting film. From 1990. Let me get it right. 5, I believe. It is a James Mangold film, all about basically this like suburban Jersey suburb with like corrupt cops, starring Ray Liotta, De Niro, Stallone. It's a very interesting film that I would suggest people enjoy if you enjoy like the mob type films, cop things. Like it's all about corruption. Like I think it's a film that I really hadn't heard of before seeing it, so it's a fun one of those.
Wait, you're telling me a movie about corrupt cops is set in suburban Jersey? No.
No, and you're gonna tell me they're New York City cops? No.
No, and they're probably all detectives, right?
They are. Actually, no, I think some would just beat cops. But yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, you need a few beat cops, but.
Yeah. But yeah, so. But it's a fun one of those. I'd suggest people go check it out if you've not heard of it, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. Before I get my other one here, why don't you talk about, it seems like here you've been Kingstown?
Yeah, Mayor of Kingstown. Speaking of corrupt cops, I am through the second season of Mayor of Kingstown, which is Jeremy Renner's show on Paramount. And I find that show hilarious. And people that watch stuff that is set in or around where they are will totally get this. This show is supposedly set in Michigan.
And you can tell immediately.
It's a fictional town. Well, so immediately you could tell they were filming it in somewhere else because all the cars had front plates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the easiest thing, dude. Like, you know, set design and the prop master should have been like, okay, hey, do cars in Michigan have front plates? Like, that's a super easy thing to look up. So I don't know why they didn't. But in the second season, they have one of the characters becomes a state police officer. And so they show him in a state cop car. Now, anyone that's driven through the state of Michigan and seen a Michigan State police officer, they know there's two very prominent indicators that it's a Michigan State police car. One is the bubble on top. So
They have the classic bubble?
yeah, they don't have the light bars, they just have the bubble.
Ah.
Well, it's a modern version of the bubble, but the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have running down the
hood.
Yeah. What's that?
I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Running down the hood, they have a sign that says stop in nod to some of the early motorcycle police. And they're a very distinct color. The state cop car in Mayor Kingstown is way too bright for both its blue and its yellow. It doesn't have the bubble, and it doesn't have the hood sign. The hood sign, they're phasing out anyway, so it's not a huge deal. But I'm like, dude, again, if you're going to set something in a specific area...
That's like, so I think we talked about last year that we watched like a Christmas movie that like was filmed but like 30 minutes from us.
Yeah.
But for some reason they changed the town to take place in Ohio. And I just kept being like, why did you do that? Like, just like, it doesn't matter. You're going to New York City. Why are we like, and you just see the town stuff. You're like, everywhere it says the town name, they had to like change it. I'm like, why are we making all this extra work? And it's visibly not what you're saying it is.
Yeah. And to top it all off, there's an ending voiceover at the end of season 2 where they mention that Kingstown is supposedly set on Lake Michigan. During the whole, up until that point, I thought this was supposed to be a fictional suburb of Detroit. Because while the show centers around a struggling town and the prison industrial complex around it, they never really mention where it's at until the very end of season 2. And kind of the brutal truth in Michigan, at least, is a lot of that stuff is over on the east side of the state by Detroit. Or kind of in the center part. There's not a lot until you get further north of prisons, large prison systems along Lake Michigan. And so I'm trying to use like the clues that, or, you know, the terminology and the descriptors that they use for Kingstown. And I think I've narrowed it down to they kind of want it to be like Muskegon. For people that have visited Muskegon. It's a beautiful beach town.
Yeah.
Like, I think the thing that people forget, or they just don't know, which is honestly probably more likely the case, the towns on Lake Michigan specifically are it's like you're in Florida or you're in California or you're along the Atlantic coast. Like, they are true sandy beach towns, right? Like, they're very unique in that sense, in terms of especially Midwest towns. And so it's just, yeah, it was just like, dude, you're fucking all kinds of reference points up. Like, at least with Yellowstone, they do a decent job of making you think you're in Montana when you're really in Utah. But this is like, they just don't even try. Or it's like they had an intern use Chat GPT and like a 30-second Google search.
What platform's this on?
It's on Paramount Plus.
So it's like a real production studio with like actual. It's not like this is like a streaming only even type thing. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like, like Netflix level.
It's a
or
Sheridan project. It's a Taylor Sheridan project, and it's clear that Paramount funded him very well for his projects. So I just don't know why these errors were made.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, it's a very like the storyline of it is very interesting. Of like, you could totally see a small town, at least for the first season and a half. You could see a small town that is supported by a few prisons kind of being like Kingstown, where, you know, there's clearly the corrupt cops that can make something go away or make a situation look different than it is and things like that. So and for those that are potentially wondering what this show is, if you've ever seen on TikTok or Reels or YouTube Shorts the clip of the SWAT guy telling the guy to grab the gun, point it in the air, then slowly come down, and then he gets lit up, that's from Mary Kingstown.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. The final film I want to show about here is that I saw The Sinners.
This is the first time?
Second time.
Okay.
I'm excited to see it again. So I want to shout again. Go see this film. If you have not, it's kind of available everywhere at this point. That was kind of why we ended up seeing it.
It's on HBO Max.
Yes. So it's one of those films that, like, I do think is really fun. I don't know if I agree with everyone. I'm gonna be honest though, that I do not agree with the like this is film of the year level that a lot of people I think are saying. But it's a film that I could definitely see winning awards type film.
Yeah, I think why people may be riding it so hard is, at least on the large scale, there hasn't been much that would run against it. You know, like what was Jordan Poole's new one, Him?
Yeah.
Sounds like that was not great and a complete and utter failure from the get-go.
No, like, this is a good film. Do not take this any like, this is a film I would tell people to go like see, but like, I don't like. It's a film, and also like, it's a film that obviously one of the people like is because it talks about like obviously deeper than just what the story is about, right? And I don't know, like, to me, it's one of those that like is so in your face with the message that like it's still a message, but like, to me, that like a film is impressive when like you're shocked by the message or like it's a subtle way to say it, right? Where like if it's just saying the obvious, you're like, at some point you're just like, you're just saying whatever the film I think said.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm kind of surprised when like people would be like, this is groundbreaking. I go, is it though? Like, is it really groundbreaking?
looking at the current box office, like maybe Springsteen, maybe One Battle After Another,
Mm-hmm.
could be up there with Sinners, but just looking at, let's see, I'm not seeing anything. Better Man was okay. The Brutalist.
Mm-hmm.
Brutalist is probably up there. I don't think Brave New World or Paddington.
No.
Mickey 17 potentially.
Yeah. I could see a world where it does. I would not obviously not agree with it, but I could see a world.
Yeah. A Minecraft movie.
It's not a great year. It's not a great year. Like, there are films that are good, don't get me wrong, but it's not, like, as a whole, a great film year.
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, Warfare, at least for me, is the current contender against Sinners. Because, yeah, I mean, looking through the release of films, and it's like Final Reckoning will probably be nominated, if I had to guess, for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's the last one.
And it won't win it, but yeah.
No. Yeah, 28 Years Later wasn't any good. I'll be curious to see if F1 the movie gets nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
That's probably, for me, that's the one that I would be most interested in. I think if it gets nominated, there's actually a chance. I'm not saying it's a good chance, but I think there's a chance. Did you ever see The Long Walk?
No, I did not.
Okay. I didn't either, so just going through the list here. And now we're in Smashing Machine. I mean, I never saw it.
There's no way, right?
I never saw it, but, I heard a lot of good things for at least the performance. I think this is where Rocky gets his, Academy Award nomination, so you can put that on his bumper and ruin another franchise. Because, yeah, I mean, shit, like, looking into November. Actually, Nuremberg. Nuremberg's got a stacked cast. So that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. And then we're kind of into December, and the December movies usually never do well.
No.
Do you think, so this December they're releasing the original version of Kill Bill, where it's the full...
Okay. Right, the
thing.
whole...
Do we think Tarantino gets a nomination and a win with that movie?
No.
Maybe not Best Picture,
No.
but...
Is it qualify for stuff?
It's technically a new release.
I no way anyone is. I don't. I do not believe they were going to do that. We shall.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, all the visual effects wins are going to go to Avatar.
Yeah.
3.
That thing. Yeah.
Fire and Ash.
As long as it's not made of anything else, we'll all be okay. But jumping down to some news. Speaking of films, first we have the sad news story that we have to shout out, which is Diane Keaton is no longer with us. She passed away at the age of 79 earlier this month. Obviously known for a lot of things. This piece from the right, even I pulled most famously said Annie Hall, but obviously people have seen her in stuff for a long time. I would say The Godfather is one people think of, Father of the Bride. So she will be missed. A great actress. And one that actually, 79, not young, but seems younger. I don't know. So.
Yeah, I mean, she obviously had some work done throughout her years, but
like it's not like she's like 90. I don't know. It's like in Hollywood, like unless there's like it's not like you in theory have access to healthcare. Like it's this thing where it's like So. Another quick story here. We have some light Bond updates for everyone. So Denis Villeneuve is going to start the search for a Bond next year. So as Dune 3 finishes, the Bond search will commence. Do you think, quick question on this, do you think it's going to be someone we know, or do you think he'll go for more of an unknown for Bond?
Well, I mean, in the article, he's quoted as saying, he's start casting for an unknown Brit actor.
Sure, but like when he's like, what's the level, I guess, of unknown? I guess is what we're saying. Like, do we think it'll be truly like never seen on screen, or like maybe someone's heard of him level of like he's done stuff?
I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of go down the route of Daniel Craig.
Yeah, because Daniel Craig was like not famous, but like people knew, right? That's what I mean. Like
worldwide, at least, he was effectively unknown until Casino. So I don't like deadlines in their tweet. They say, also Bond, James Bond, will be male as written by Bond creator Ian Fleming, and importantly will be an actor who hails from the British Isles. It was never going to be a female Bond. You don't need to kind of throw that in. Like, he will be male as written by Ian Fleming. Like, there will never be a female. Well, of course there will never be a female Bond. Nobody would expect that. That being said, I think No Time to Die did a great job of opening up the reality of, the 007 is just a title. Right, so they could have a female 007. Yeah.
We shall see continuing news on that one. But finally, I'd say the last kind of updatey story we have here with films. Michael Mann's Heat 2 is officially moving forward. It's going under the United Artists umbrella, and we are still kind of figuring out who's starring in it. Obviously, there's this thing that's been kind of going on forever. Also, Michael Mann is like not young.
No.
So I think we all need to appreciate we're on an 82-year-old. This is like when we do like Ridley Scott's next project. We're all like holding breath, being like, it is shocking to me this thing is actually being made. I don't know how to say it. Also, controversially, do people actually care about a Heat 2, or is this going to be more of a Gladiator 2 situation where all of us go, why did this end up getting made?
I mean, to be honest, I think this goes back to the Tron, Ares kind of point of, if this movie was 10 years earlier, in this case, 20, I think, years earlier. Yeah, 95.
Yeah.
If Heat 2
this was a 10-year legacy sequel.
Yeah, if Heat 2 came out 10 years after Heat 1, that was still in the era of things lasted forever. Right? Like, movies were in theaters for half the year. Pop culture didn't move as fast as it does now. And I do wonder if we are now beyond the resurgence of that mid-90s provenance or kind of zeitgeist.
And again,
especially by the time this movie comes out, right? Like, that's
my thing. It's like, I don't think Heat's a bad film, but like, Heat, I don't know if it, like, when I think of like the action in the 90s, I don't know if Heat's one of those, I think, like, if you're in the era, people remember it, but like, I don't think it's going to be remembered in history books the same that like a Goodfellas is. Like, like, I don't quite understand this, like, or it's not even like the campiness of like the other end of 90s stuff. Like, I don't know. He just sits in this very much where it's like, you're very well produced, very well polished film, but like, are you? You know, I don't know if you really are in the conversation of the best 90s films in the action genre.
Also, Heat was way ahead of its time, because I think if Heat had come out in the era of the John Wick, like 1 and 2, it would be praised a lot more, because Heat truly was one of those films where it was like, this is as real as it's gonna get.
No, and that's the thing, I guess, what it is. It's in the era, I get why it's important, but like looking back, you're like, you're not like watching a thing in the same way you go like, this holds up. It's more like you're watching a piece of history building up.
I mean, it definitely holds up, the original Heat, if you haven't seen it in a while. There's clearly references and things like that that don't land because they're 30 years old. But still to this day, like, that final shootout is shown in training courses.
And I guess the thing to me is, it's a realistic film, but I don't know if it was as interesting for that.
No, I don't think its realism helps its gravitas.
Yeah, and I think that's like, it's just really back and forth, like those stories, like, yeah, because it's interesting. So, like, it tries to be realistic, but then obviously it has such extreme portrayals. Like, it's this thing that's like a back and forth.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's jump down to some game news before we get out of here. First, as a promise, we have some Roblox updates, people. So yes. Light update. The Florida Attorney General has issued criminal
this isn't
subpoenas.
A light update. This is a pretty big update.
So yes, the Attorney General in Florida has officially, Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer, I apologize if I'm butchering that, has issued criminal subpoenas. Yeah, Othmar has criminal subpoenas against Roblox. Basically, there's an active investigation now to basically saying, is Roblox, based on what they were doing, aiding and abetting predators, accessing and harming children. Obviously, this story, we will have a while until there's a real legal update here. But yes, I think you are correct in saying this is a substantial update in the sense of this could turn into a nothing, could turn into a pure nightmare, or could turn into the worst case scenario for Roblox. And I think that Pandora's box is at least potentially opened and available now, more than it was a few months ago.
So here's an interesting question in regards to this. If I told you that Florida was going to be the state that was actually trying to look after kids, how would that information be digested by you?
So I wouldn't be super shocked. So here's my comparison that you're not going to love, but I'm going to explain my reasoning why it wouldn't shock me then. Is the infamous, the book stuff and all that, right? Like, sure, you could argue there's other reasons, but like, it's totally, the argument was the children protection argument. Like, this is at least consistent in that argument. They just always showed the way people disagree, but it's a consistent argument.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking in kind of mirror opposite to the book stuff. I was like, no, like if I told you this like 10 years ago, right? Like in 10 years, the political system's going to be fucked beyond belief, but Florida, of all places, is going to be the state that seems to care for kids the most.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, and again, it's not everyone's going to agree with the way they care for kids, but they're very consistent. In, like, that feels like the thing throughout Florida politics right now.
Yeah.
Is that, like, everything is in correlation to schools or children. Like, I feel like more than other states.
Yeah. Maybe look past sensationalist headlines at times and be like, oh, they're trying to protect children. Like, at, surface level, that's what they're trying to do. They obviously may have some underlying
there may be secondary
motivations,
reasons,
but
there may be I'm not saying there aren't other things, but like consistently, whether we agree with it, whether you agree with it or not, it's a message to the point where like it's rating with Florida voters. Like it's a consistency in Florida now for like more than a cycle. Let's just say.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. And it being Florida in that context we're talking about it makes me feel like there's a higher chance this goes up to an actual trial too, like on a functional level.
Oh, especially because during DeSantis's push for all the, school stuff, I think they basically put it in that if charges are placed, they go straight to trial. Like,
which
it might even be Florida Supreme Court. Like, based on
like our discussions in Roblox, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's at least room for an investigation. I'm not saying there are rooms for charges or trials. People should blindly go to jail. But, like, investigation room to me seems realistic from the discussions we've had of Roblox over this last year.
So here's an interesting thing that I will be curious to see when this goes to trial, how it's handled. Roblox isn't based in Florida, right? They're probably based in
let me look what's going on.
New York.
Roblox, I would assume it's California, but I will give you a cleaner answer. And it wouldn't matter. Like, to be fair, states can still charge things not set in their state because they could block it. Like, there are things they could do.
Right. I guess that's what I was going to get is like, what's the legal reach that Florida has here? Because
they could sue them because it's accessed in their state. There is like the example. Illinois has like access, privacy protection. No, but under that though, Illinois has privacy protection laws that Facebook violated. So like they're able to do a class action stuff. Like because of like class action level stuff could be done. Like for me, like penalty.
Yeah, but like it's not gonna stop Roblox.
Yeah, no, that's accurate. Like maybe you get a high enough fine what does, but like they probably can't literally be like doing that. Yeah.
So
now the question though, if it is criminal, could Florida argue that they violate state law? Yeah, that becomes interesting. Like, would they put someone in jail? I don't know. The question becomes to me, the bigger can of worms isn't does this stay at the Florida state level though. It's does this trigger a federal investigation or trigger other states to also do the Florida thing?
Well, it could be interesting is during their investigation, is Florida issuing these subpoenas so they can see if any of the potential bad actors are based in Florida?
No, and like those, for example, then those bad actors 100% they could charge.
Yeah, so is Florida in a way, like I brought up with, the Saudi deal with EA, like they can look into their finances. Is Florida doing this so they can see where these people are based and then go after anyone based in Florida?
That would be interesting. So we shall see.
Yeah, like
so
are you killing two birds with one stone in that, hey, they violated these privacy laws and also
here's real potential of
we've got, legal precedent now to go charge these bad actors.
We shall see. But jumping in, some other news. This is a month. Chips of news. First, this is the one I think we had to start with of the non-Roblox news. Halo Campaign Evolved was officially announced for, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, PC,
PC,
and officially for the first time ever, PlayStation. Coming next year. This is the end of Xbox, right? Like this is the official. We have kissed you on the lips.
I mean, I just don't see how.
And I'm clarifying, it's what we talked last time of the hardware, the idea. Like, I still think there's an Xbox thing but like, it's what we talk about. Like, I don't think.
Yeah, but
Xbox is what it was.
I think this kills Xbox as a first party because you can't be a first party and hit the ridiculous numbers that Microsoft put on them.
Yeah, because there's other stories going on of like they need certain like margins, stuff like that. That like
percent or some crazy.
Which
number.
like, and like my understanding of like game margins are like budgeted more like 10, 15, because this is gross numbers. These aren't raw. Like, and like sure, it could all if your head it changes it, but like it is like for video game industry standards a really high gross margin.
Yeah, so you're left like, all right, well, as a first party, we could take the hit of a failure like Rise.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had Dead Rising that did very well.
Mm-hmm.
Or, we have Halo that's going to sell gangbusters.
And I'm going to throw in also, because it's in the context of the story. At the same time, this is the beginning of this month, is when they announced the fundamental changes to Xbox Games Pass, where now on console it's like $30 a month to get like the one people want.
Yeah.
So like all of this together is equaling now an Xbox that is relatively super weak. Costs people a lot of money. The Xbox Series X costs now more than the PlayStation Pro does. Like, I don't fully understand anymore. Like, I understand the like value of depending how many games you play. Like, there is still some value to Game Pass, right? I get that. But like, if you don't own that hardware anymore, why would you?
Yeah.
Like, just being functional. Like, would you trust in 10 years they're making stuff for that hardware or line of hardware? I don't know if I would.
Yeah, that's certainly an interesting point of like, well, no, you know what it is? This is, whether we like it or not, this is the ramification of the downturn in the economy causing interest rates to rise.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to remember, the Activision deal was still when money was cheap.
Yes.
Now, Microsoft can't borrow cheap money. So now these projects have to generate revenue. And, in a world where it's tough to get a game out the door under $50 million for these studios.
That's even then, that's a real, yeah.
And
it's a low number.
You're not selling any of these because you do day one Game Pass. Not Day One Game Pass. You have to generate the revenue somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's the culmination of no more cheap money, and they way overpaid for Activision.
Oh yeah, no, it's a level of there is both a economic reasons of stuff's going bad, but it is like decisions they made also. Like,
yeah, they
like,
should have never paid
stuff became worse either way.
$70 billion.
But they made bad decisions in the middle of this process.
Yes.
So we shall see. But no, it is. I truly think there is some truth to the saying now, kind of like basically that like them buying Activision I think, helped kill Xbox in the way we think of it. Because they had a need now from the size of them in Microsoft with the eyes on them they didn't have. Like, you went from Xbox being a Bill Gates kind of allowing its size brand to being a fundamental percentage of Microsoft's revenue. Yeah. And that shift made eyes on them and enemies that they probably, I bet you there are people that wish they were like, the way that, like, it's funny though, because at the same time, PlayStation is such a high percentage of Sony now, right? It has been for like decade and a half, but they've made that work.
Yeah, because they haven't shot themselves in the foot. I think, you know, the argument will always be, right, like, no matter what, Xbox is effectively a rounding error for Microsoft because they just generate revenue everywhere else. The Xbox department, I guess, was put on such a higher platter because of the Activision deal. Mm-hmm. Right? Suddenly it's a game division that's doing okay. Now we are under governmental regulation investigation from everyone in the world over this deal. Right, you're no longer a hokey division in a giant corporation. Mm-hmm. Now you are potentially the thing that leads to our downfall. So, you know, do I think Microsoft should have bought Activision? No. Do I think Activision needed to be sold? Absolutely. Right. I think the unfortunate reality is you probably would have seen Activision Blizzard split up.
I am very interested, like, just being practical of, like, the way stuff was. It's like there are a few studios, right? So Activision is one of those stories. It's like, I'm always curious, like, would Bethesda exist right now in one entity if it wasn't bought what it was? In the way, like, all that stuff started collapsing?
I think the Bethesda name would be around.
That's fair.
Because, as they have been proven to do, they will milk every penny out of the Skyrim stone that they can.
But I bet you, though, like, obviously we saw even under Microsoft, some studios close it. Like, I bet you, like, stuff that, like, failed would have hurt them worse, in a way. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if, like, Bethesda still exists. It was a Fallout Skyrim, like, they just merged into, like, we just care about them making this, everyone else just kind of went away type shit. Like, I don't, like, indie probably wouldn't have happened. Like, there's stuff there that I'm very curious.
So. Oh, yeah, indie wouldn't have happened. The Doom reboots, like, the current Doom franchise wouldn't have happened. You know, we would have never gotten Doom 2016. So,
let's see. Before we get into the final big story of the month, I just wanted to shout out also. There's kind of another Niantic Kojima thing going around. So just the reason I'm intrigued is because obviously Kojima, this is like his like third or fourth thing announced. So on Kojima Watch, they're working with Niantic a bit too. So we'll keep an eye out in that, and as we learn more, probably a decade from now. Final, holy shit, big story. Speaking of the month, Electronic Arts is no longer a publicly traded company. It is now owned by a multitude of assets, most famously and most owned by Saudi Arabia's, the Saudi Game Group's Sovereign Wealth Fund. Yeah. I couldn't find those notes in there. I apologize. I couldn't find the thing I mentioned there basically. But the Saudi group, like the Savvy Games Group, over the last half decade has been acquiring a lot of studios. Obviously, this is the biggest and most famous of them. I don't even know where to start with. Like, obviously, we talked Battlefield, so kind of like that was in context there. But this is obviously something I think none of us saw kind of coming. What was your kind of gut instinct when you read that news?
I wasn't surprised that that's who bought them. I guess is what I'll say. Because the Saudis have been trying to find, and this is actually a positive. This isn't like a dig on them yet.
Yes, appreciate it.
The Saudis have been trying to find a way out of the oil industry for the past 20 years.
Yes, no, this part, right, yeah.
So, their public investment fund, the PIF, has been trying to find ways to generate revenue through sports, through tourism, through you name it, right? This was a logical next step for the PIF. Maybe not EA, right? Maybe Ubisoft. But a big name. I think EA makes more sense because of the...
It's just the scale of EA, I guess. Because EA at this point was the biggest, like, I'm trying to rephrase this, non-national controlled entity game publisher out there that isn't like a Microsoft or a first party.
I think the biggest third party.
Yeah. And even like I was trying to think, because like at this point I wouldn't be shocked if like Tencent was bigger. Like, that's where I was kind of going at. But like functionally speaking, like EA is a fucking powerhouse. This is no small, this is the equivalent of Microsoft buying Activision, except there's no one as big as Activision left available to buy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, the rumored Sony Square deal would probably, I don't know if monetarily wise, be the biggest. Because I just don't see Sony having this kind of money laying around. But in terms of portfolio, it'd be probably the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, FIFA or FC now, Madden, college football, like they all have their ultimate teams. So they have a pretty steady revenue generating source there. And now, obviously Battlefield's out. It'll have a Battle Royale mode, which is potentially a free-to-play thing. Judging by some of the UI stuff that's in Battlefield 6 right now. Yeah. It makes sense that the Saudis made a move like this when looking at it from a business.
I mean, pure business, they paid a premium, but you can at least see where that premium could argue. Yeah. No, that, like, yeah. Well, I think everyone's because this is just going to be an interesting shift for the industry. But
I mean, I totally agree with the, Saudis trying to sports wash their image. I'd 100% agree with that sentiment.
I didn't even think of this one. PGA is EA, right? Do they have to stop? Can they stop paying a license?
No, because the Saudis own Live.
I thought they're merged now, or is it just like a strategic partnership?
Ooh, that is a story and a half, dude. I'll save that for Extra Life when we have 12 hours and we need to go in depth. Because it'll take 12 hours to describe that whole situation.
But jumping in from there, we have some sad news to wrap us up this month. So Ubisoft Red Lynx has announced 60 jobs will be cut. Funcom is closing the developer The Outsiders, who's famous for Metal Hellsinger. Heart Machine has announced they are both stopping development on Hyper Light Breaker after they kind of finish up the current stint of it, and they made layoffs there. Funcom has closed the developer of Dune Awakening that came out not that long ago. Just Cause developer Avalanche Studios announced they are closing a UK studio because of some Xbox cancellations. Yeah, this was not a great month. Hopefully, a lot of people end up on their feet and figure it out. So,
I mean, that being said, a lot of these closures were like, oh, they were still open? At least in my mind. Right? Like,
that's fair. There's a few kind of that, or even like
Red Lynx is the team behind the Trials games.
Right, and I'm like, Ubisoft, I don't think shocked me as much because obviously the context of what's happening. Ubisoft, I'm kind of expecting more redundancies to kind of, I expect to see their names kind of floating. I was a little shocked on Hyper Light Breaker, to be honest. Outsiders, I think, shocked me a bit. Just Cause, like, I don't, like, that studio didn't shock me as much with Avalanche, so.
Yeah, I guess, you know, the Red Lynx and Avalanche closures made sense to me because I'm like, they haven't put out a game in a decade.
Obviously, we folks have a job, but at least those I can at least point to a bit more. With the other two, I was actively a little more surprised by reading at the times.
Yeah, I'm surprised the sequel to Hyper Light Drifter didn't.
Because it's still in early access. Like, this is them, like, canning basically it, like, in that progress. Like, basically, I think my understanding is they're wrapping a bow to kind of launch it, in quotes, but, like, that's kind of the end of development on it.
Interesting.
So. Yeah, must not have sold well.
It's the only thing I can think of.
What'd you think of that first one? I thought people really liked.
Yeah, Hyper Light Drifter, I mean, it was like Game of the Year. It was.
That's what I mean. Like, it's not. This is not like. This is like a Silksong level of like a sequel when it comes to like indie games.
Yeah.
But finally, there really aren't a ton of games currently we know on the docket. So just kind of some big ones coming up soon. November 14th, we'll be seeing Black Ops 7, Deus Ex Remastered, coming out February 5th on everything. Resident Evil Requiem comes out on February 27th. 007 First Light comes out on the 27th of March. And on May 26, 2026, we'll be getting GTA 6. Finally. Put on your calendars.
A quiet Memorial Day weekend.
There'll be no one outside in all of society.
No, it'll be all women. It'll be all the wives and girlfriends of every dude that's under the age of 50.
And on top of that, it's gonna, what's gonna happen is US West is gonna go down also as we're all like mid thing. That was an AWS joke that brought down 40% of the US internet last week.
So. Yeah, who do you think they're going to have? Do you happen to know, does Rockstar use AWS or do they use Azure? Or?
I would, like, I genuinely don't know. Like, obviously, both those are pretty big in the game space. And it could be per studio. Like, it might not be like a 2K level thing either. It could be like Rockstar's one and Take-Two's not. Like, but I don't know if I do know. I don't think they have their own cloud.
I mean, if anybody did, Take-Two.
Sure, but it's not worth running that stuff exactly always. Everything online is saying Rockstar Games runs their own, but like that doesn't actually mean they do. It could just be like NDA'd.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I do not actually know, but that is a curious question, especially the volume they need. It needs to be a big boy if they don't run their own.
Well, yeah,
it can't be like some random cloud provider.
US West could crash, but we might be on the level of AWS just crashed.
Is accurate.
AWS goes into DDoS protection.
Yeah, because they can't because there are as you can imagine, there are a bunch of cloud providers that aren't like AWS and Azure scale, but like something this scale you can't work with. Just being functional, unless you are their client.
Could this be the first time in recorded history when somebody just goes, I need all of the cloud services?
It does feel like that. Especially if people start trying to stream this game at the same time. Like, think about all the PS portals out there. It's like, people might be trying to play it and stream it to devices.
You say all the PS portals like there's a lot.
No, but like, I'm just trying to think of like, it could be like multiple ways that we're thinking of this like game now floating. And the way we didn't have to think about games 10 years ago. Xbox, I could stream games. Like, there's a lot of stuff where I could be locally streaming stuff that like, we could be like double having a problem.
Yeah. I thought when you said streaming, I thought you meant like Twitch. I'm like, well, yeah, that would crash AWS.
And then finally, the only film I saw, because it's obviously going into Thanksgiving, that I think should be the film, and maybe the last movie club of the year pending time-wise, is Predator Badlands. Any thoughts?
Or that Nuremberg movie.
Oh, that's right. Nuremberg movie. Or Nuremberg.
Or The Running Man.
James. Is that this month?
Oh, Running Man and Now You See Me 3 are out on the same day.
Ooh. I would do the Running Man of those then.
I would say Running Man or Now You See Me 3, because the Now You See Me movies are fun.
They're fun, but the Running Man, I'm actually curious because it's one of these things where you're like, do people care about the Running Man anymore?
Yeah. Well, it's got Glenn Powell in it, so.
You're right.
I don't know if that's as much of a draw to the Gen Pop as Glenn Powell is.
That's fair. So we shall see. So yes, everyone, go to your local cinema. Go check out The Running Man. And we shall discuss it, and we'll see all of you later in the month. But yeah, that's all we got for us here. Obviously, we wish all of those who, as always, who fell on hard times, hopefully you go get yourself a new job soon. Otherwise, game industry's kind of been what it's been. Film industry, hopefully gets better soon. But go explore. We have the work ones before Halloween, so happy Halloween to you. And hopefully all of you out there got enough candy that the dentists stay in business. Any goodbyes? Any fresh words to say to the people, AJ?
Dude, the dentists don't have to worry. We're all addicted to vapes and Zins and energy drinks.
If you don't know what to do in your life, go be a lung doctor. I bet you'll have a great time in about 20 years.
20? Try like 5.
That's fair. Vapes are about a decade old. I think about 5 is pretty accurate.
By the time you get out of medical school, you will be so busy you won't know what to do.
Like, we both think, like, I am waiting for the bottom to drop and what's wrong with vapes that we don't know yet. And it's about this time where I feel like it's going to, if it's gonna. So it wouldn't be like a year or two. It would have been like that decade, 20. It's gonna be like, what's the long-term effect? What's the first generation we're about to see?
Yeah.
On that lovely note, we'll catch all of you next time.